So I want to talk about how to actually find academic co-authors and PhD students to actually work with. And this is going to be somewhat different or unique in terms of what I am doing and what I'm going to talk about. So I'm going to first describe, the normal way that you might actually find co-authors and PhD students to work with. And then I'm going to talk about what I'm doing. So if you don't know me, I am Professor Dave Massack. I'm an Associate Professor of Innovation Strategy and Entrepreneurship, and I create this whole reciprocity project to give back as much as I possibly can. There's so many people that help me out that I want to pay the favor for it to help you out as much as I possibly can. So the normal way that people find co-authors and PhD students to work with is very much as kind of like pecking order issue that happens within academia. So for all of you who don't understand the academic game, there is a pecking order or a ranked order of universities. There's also kind of a ranked order of where people are publishing, and there's a ranked order of so the journals that you're publishing in, the people that everything is ranked. It's very, very. I like to think of this as this is very American. Everything is ranked. It's always a competition, all that kind of stuff. It's very much built into the American academic system, and which has actually gone on and had influence around the world, right? And in many different systems, many academic systems, is very much modeled after this American system because they have been, quote unquote, so productive with the research that they're actually producing, right? They produce a lot of ideas, and lots of people want to clamor to the American system because of the fact that they are productive and they allow you to move up in this pecking order within the system. So there's universities that have higher rankings, or people know of. Basically, it's people, they have more legitimacy, more people know of them, higher status. And so lots of people want to go to those particular universities and want to interact with those people. And so those people that are at those universities, because, that either A, that they had good fortune, or B, they worked really hard, right? They're really good people that worked really hard. And so they get opportunities from, maybe people want to co-author with them, or maybe that there are PhD students that want to go to that particular thing. So that's how PhDs actually look at this. They'll look at the ranked orderings. This is legitimately what happens. They'll look at the ranked orderings of universities based on the U.S. World News, or something along those lines, and then they'll say, hey, I'm going to apply to the top 20 universities, and whichever ones I get into, that's the one I'm going to go. And so those universities at the very top, they can select from a huge pool of candidates, and from there, those particular faculty and professors get to work with really good pool of candidates and stuff. But as you move down the pecking order, things get the pool gets less and less. Right? And realizing this, I've always kind of struggled with finding the right group of people to work with. And I don't think it's necessarily me. I think it's just kind of different norms in that it's a small world, right? There's really not a lot of people to work with. And I value really good research, and I value, doing the hard work to actually get there. But I also, value my family, and I really do emphasize those kind of things. So I'm stuck in the middle, and there's some really great research by Catherine Kellogg at MIT that looks at surgeons doing this very similar thing, and hospitals doing very similar things, where there is a new generation, and I realize I'm kind of millennial, where they're wanting to do a little bit of both and balance those particular things, rather than being within the institutions or setting up the way that things have normally have been done. So I realized after trying to do the regular way, and realizing that, hey, I actually do want to spend time with my wife. On a Sunday, I want to spend some time with my wife. And so I realized it wasn't going to happen the way that I thought it was going to happen if I played that game a long time, right? Of working with within the system, I'm not going to get there, because the way that the system works, you're only, you get to a certain level, and then opportunities are what you get. So as I started, as part of this whole reciprocity project, if you didn't realize, is me actually trying to find people that are going to self-select and want to value these very same things. And, by the way, if you are, great PhD students or wanting to be a PhD student, come check out where I'm actually at. And, I don't put in my institution for intellectual property reasons, but as well as maybe I'm going to be at a different place in the future. I don't know, right? Things change. And so, you can check out where I'm at and, see if you can come to the place I'm at and actually do that thing. That's the really cool thing. Or if you're co-authors or you want to be co-authors, come check me out and, send me a note. Doesn't mean that I might, not reply and stuff. There's lots of stuff is going on, right? And so don't feel bad if I don't reply. There's lots of stuff going on. But so what I'm doing with this, and this is where I'm going, is that the internet is democratizing a tremendous amount of our life. And lots of people don't realize that in academia. Lots of people don't realize that in the world. Is that the internet, instead of playing within the same structure that we've had for the last 100 years, is really opening it up. And what it's doing, it is allowing people to self-select and identify people that they would like to, be part of something. And so I realized, hey, if I just be myself and I'm just who I am, and I chat and I talk and I help you out, then maybe some people might be interested in this particular thing and come, work with the group that I'm, that I'm a part of. And the self-selection process, it is different than what has happened in the past, right? And this is partly, if you think of dating, right? The way that dating used to work is that you'd have to go to a bar and meet somebody at a bar or a club, and you'd probably go home, or it'd be like your neighbor. But now the internet has allowed apps and various different things, like, I don't know what they are right now. I haven't done the whole dating game in a long time. But that kind of thing, the swipe right, swipe left thing, to identify a huge host of people that you can date and find. And so ideally, you're probably actually finding a better match by doing that. And I've seen that time and time again with people that have done the internet game dating thing, which now it's not called internet dating, it's just dating, right? You're just on the scene. And they find great people that they wouldn't have found otherwise. And it's usually people that you would never think of, and they have very similar interests in that kind of thing, right? So as I am being more open, and I am, being me in the great grand scheme of things, and I tell you about all the things that I'm going through and all the sort of troubles that I experience and the problems, and me being having great moments. As I'm doing that, I'm hoping that it would be attractive to the right people. Now I realize that there's going to be lots of passive people that are just never, the vast majority of people are never going to reach out or anything like that. And then I also realize that the many people that are going to reach out are just not going to be qualified. They're just not there. But that is part of the process, right? And that's how the internet is actually working. And that's why it's democratizing a great deal of the world that we live in. It is allowing people from many different locations, from many different times. Somebody might watch this in 35 years, and they might reach out to me when I'm 70 years old, and they said, and they're like, hey, I watched your video from 2022, and I thought it was cool, and would you like to work on this particular project with me? That might happen, right? And so you have to remember that the internet is also persistent. It stays up for a long time. And if you acknowledge that, and you're part of this thing, sometimes I think that there's going to be opportunities that you can actually find, that people are going to self-select into those opportunities that I'm never going to know about. So there's two things that are challenging, though. The first one is that I still have to work within the normal university system, and this is considered not legitimate. Very much so. Doing these kind of things is not legitimate, and so they don't get rewarded and all that kind of stuff. That's not how it actually works. What gets rewarded is doing research, right? And so I'm always stressing and worrying about doing research and what other people are thinking about me. And so this is a real challenge. This is why lots of academics never do this. They never get past all of those kind of things, not to mention all of the other people sort of thinking about you and those kind of things. But here I am as an academic being very open about this, really challenging. You know, the second thing is that there is a tremendous, it takes a lot longer and a lot more work than you're ever going to imagine, right? You could see in how much actually is gone into this. It takes a tremendous amount of work by the time you actually get traction, because it's really a numbers game to get the self-selection, right? To understand how the internet works is you need to get hundreds of thousands of people to see this thing, and then of that, only a handful of people, maybe 10, 20 people are actually going to take it seriously. And then from there, you know, there's only going to be one or two that are actually going to be qualified. And that's kind of really what the numbers are, right? Either 20,000 people got to watch something and get enjoyment from it, and only a small number are ever actually going to execute on this particular thing. So, you know, hopefully you benefited from this. If there are co-authors or people that want to co-author, you know, do research, play around, have fun, I'm always around. Doesn't mean I'm going to respond. Busy life, all that kind of stuff. And if you're not qualified, then it's hard for me to, you know, be polite and stuff like that. But yeah, just thanks so much. And this is, I think, the way that the world is going to be moving in the next 20 to 30 years, where it's a lot more democratizing, but you got to put in the effort, you got to put in the work to actually, you know, do some of these things. It's going to be hard, but we'll get there eventually. All right, with that, give me a thumbs up to subscribe to the YouTube channel. Take care and have a wonderful day. Bye.